Let's explore some deeper meanings in Bible stories. These stories often have practical lessons for our lives. For example, there's a story about a woman who was healed by touching Jesus' cloak. There was a reason for a famine in Israel during Elijah's time, and the inscription on a Roman coin has a special meaning. Let's look at these stories and learn how to be more like Jesus. Jesus found himself in a very difficult situation. Two powerful and opposing groups, the Pharisees and the Herodians, who despised each other, decided to unite to ensnare Jesus. They asked Jesus a very complex question. Is it right to pay taxes to the Roman emperor? This question was a trap. Whatever answer Jesus gave would get him into trouble. If he said yes, the Pharisees would accuse him of betraying his religion, as they believed that the Messiah should resist the Romans. But if he said no, the Herodians would accuse him of rebelling against the emperor and seek to kill him. But Jesus, with a very wise answer, escaped this trap. He asked them to show him a Roman coin. When he saw the coin, he pointed to the image of the emperor on the coin and said, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar." But he continued, "And give to God what belongs to God." With this answer, Jesus satisfied both groups. He showed that he respected the Roman government but was also faithful to God. This answer demonstrated Jesus' great wisdom and intelligence. Jesus was asked if people should pay taxes to the Roman emperor, Caesar. He said, "Yes, you should pay taxes, because Caesar is in charge." But he also added, "But you should also give your life to God, because God is the most important." Jesus used the word image because there was a picture of Caesar on the coin. He said that just like the coin belongs to Caesar, our lives belong to God. We should live our lives according to God's rules, not just pay taxes to the government. Once upon a time, there was a man named John the Baptist. He was known as the greatest prophet of his time. Even Jesus said he was special. But John's life was not fancy. He lived alone in the desert, ate strange food like locusts and honey, and wore clothes made from camel skin. Many people thought John was strange, but he was actually very important. He was like the other prophets of old. God chose these prophets to not only tell the future, but also to show people what God wanted. Isaiah, another prophet, preached naked for a long time to show how Israel would be punished. Ezekiel acted out a siege to show how Jerusalem would be destroyed. John the Baptist was also like these prophets. He lived his life as an example for others to follow. He showed people how to live a life close to God. John the Baptist was a prophet who lived a simple life in the desert. He taught people about repentance, which means feeling sorry for your mistakes and changing your ways. John's life was like a story that showed what repentance looks like. He lived a simple life away from the city, which showed that he was sorry for his past sins. He also wore dirty clothes and didn't have many things, which showed that he had turned away from his old life and was focused on God. He lived a simple life in the desert to show that he was sorry for his past sins. People who wanted to be baptized by John had to travel to the desert, which was difficult and uncomfortable. This showed that they were serious about changing their lives. John's life was like a picture of repentance. The desert symbolized feeling sorry for your mistakes, and baptism symbolized being forgiven by God. In the time of Elijah, another prophet, Israel was in a bad time. The king and his wife killed many people who believed in God. During Elijah's time, there was a false god named Baal. Baal was very popular in Israel, especially because of Jezebel, the queen. Jezebel and her husband, King Ahab, hired many prophets to spread the word about Baal. This made it difficult for Elijah, who believed in the true God. But God had a plan to help Elijah and shake up the nation. During Elijah's time, there was a drought in Israel because the people were worshipping the wrong God. Elijah met with the king and told him that there would be no rain until the people stopped worshipping the false god. God used a drought to punish the people for their bad behavior. God was showing his power by stopping the rain. This was to challenge Baal, the god of rain. By causing a drought, God was showing that he was more powerful than Baal. The people of Israel saw that Baal was not real and that their king, Ahab, was not good at helping them. People believed that Baal, the false god, was away during droughts. They thought that when Baal came back, it would rain. So, Elijah's challenge to Baal was even more powerful. Elijah showed that Baal was not real and that God was the only true God. Peter was talking about replacing Judas, one of Jesus' followers who had betrayed him. Peter used two old stories from the Bible to explain why. One story said that Judas's place should be empty, but the other story said that someone else could take his place. Peter thought that these stories were important because they showed that God had a plan for everything. Peter believed that Psalm 109 was about Judas. He thought that Jesus was speaking through David in this psalm. Peter thought that some of the verses in Psalm 109 were about how Jesus felt when he was crucified. For example, one verse says, "They gave me bitter things to eat." This is similar to what happened to Jesus when he was given a drink of vinegar. If you have enjoyed the video so far, please support me by liking and sharing it with others. There is a story in the New Testament about a woman who was sick for 12 years. She spent all her money on doctors but couldn't get better. When she heard about Jesus, she went to him and was healed. This is a story about hope and healing. However, there might be something else going on in this story. According to Jewish law, women who had a certain kind of bleeding were considered unclean. If someone touched them, they would also become unclean. The story says that a woman who was sick touched Jesus. This was a big problem because it could make Jesus unclean. The woman knew that touching Jesus could be dangerous for him. However, she might have known something that others didn't. In the Bible, there is a law about tassels that were attached to clothes. These tassels were like a reminder for people to obey God. The tassels were also called wings. In the last book of the Old Testament, there is a message about these tassels. It says that people who fear God should be like birds with wings. The woman's faith in Jesus was so strong that it overcame the laws of her time. By touching Jesus' garment, she believed she would be healed, and indeed she was. This miraculous event not only restored her physical health, but also symbolized a deeper spiritual cleansing. Jesus' healing power was not limited to physical ailments. It extended to the spiritual impurities that bound people to sin. The woman's encounter with Jesus was a testament to his divine authority and his ability to break free from the chains of sin. This story highlights a key theme in the New Testament, the power of faith. The woman's unwavering belief in Jesus' healing ability was instrumental in her recovery. It serves as a reminder that faith, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, can bring about miraculous transformations.